Okay, I want you to think about all the beverages that you drink on a daily basis. Water, coffee, whatever it is. All right. Take a note of what it is right now. Okay. Because in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about what are the oldest beverages around. Right. And it's not wine because we already had a podcast on wine. It is herbal teas. All right. Herbal teas are one of the oldest liquids around that you could drink. And so what I want you to do is grab your favorite mug and settle in, because we're going to talk about some research and proven ways that this tea can help slow down the aging process.
Embark on a journey to defy time with LMAO, Laughing My Age Off podcast. I'm your host, Erica Kelly, and I started this show because, like you, I'm curious about the secrets to staying youthful as the years go by. Join me as we discover the secrets to slowing down the aging process, exploring expert insights, cutting-edge research, and personal experiences that uncover the art of aging gracefully. It's time to laugh, learn, and embrace a life full of vitality together.
Okay, so we're going to get started here with our show. And if you are just listening to our show and not watching it on YouTube, I'm pouring some of this old beverage, meaning this has been around for centuries. I have jasmine green tea in my good old happy mug here. It's a big yellow smiling emoji type mug. We're going to take a sip here. I don't know if you guys do the pinky, but we're getting very fancy here with our shows lately. We had wine, now we're doing tea, but we're going to cover today, number one, the effects of this anti-aging beverage. What certain types of tea do you drink to really get these benefits? Number three, how much do you need to drink to get these benefits? Okay, is 1 cup enough? 2 cups? Number four, how should you drink this beverage, right? And we'll get into that. Tea is something that's very affordable, and it's something that has been practiced across the world. So let's get into it. All right, to start, before we get into the benefits and the anti-aging effects of tea drinking, let's just take a step back. How old is tea? Okay, and I learned a lot of things here, and I wonder if you guys know the story behind how tea was discovered, okay? So it begins, can you guess where? Think about it for a second. Out of all the places in the world. All right, it begins in China, all right? According to a legend, in 2737 BC, the Chinese Emperor Shen Nung was sitting behind a tree. I guess he used to like to drink really hot boiling water, okay? So there was an instance where he was sitting beneath this tree, and then some leaves from the tree blew into his cup of boiling hot water, okay? So then the Chinese emperor, he was a renowned herbalist. It was discovered by accident, right? Just because, the universe decided to drop some tea leaves into his hot boiling water, okay? And so it's been around for centuries. When you compare it to coffee is not as old, all right? I believe tea it goes on to say about 2,000 years on top of coffee. So coffee came a lot later. And, I want you to think about your consumption of tea, or maybe you don't drink tea at all. Maybe it's only coffee. Okay. I know there's some people who just swear by coffee. I think coffee has its benefits too. And maybe we'll talk about that another time. But my personal experience with tea, I grew up in a Polish household. So tea is one of those things that was just always a part of the culture growing up. At a young age, I never really drank it because, I don't know, when you're a kid, I feel like, at least in America, in the US, the customs of drinking cold liquids is a lot more adopted than hot liquids. But nonetheless, it was in my household. As I got older, I started to drink more of it. But, I think tea is really well practiced in Europe. Personally, that's my viewpoint. And I feel like coffee is just more Americanized. And I love tea. I think there's so many different type of varietal teas. I do think over the years I've learned that, there's a way to make tea cheaper. There's a way to make tea taste a little bit with more flavorings, which is not the natural state of how tea should be personally. And so you have to be careful because they are just adding a lot of things, at least in America, what I've noticed, no matter where you go, if you read the boxes, it's very minimally offered where there's tea without any additives. Okay. Additives are in everything. So just be mindful of that. All right. And so my experience with teas, I love it. I actually drink it on a daily basis. There are seasons to it. I think there's seasons where I just stop drinking it. And, the weather, when it gets cooler, like in the Midwest, I live in Florida now. So I've been able to change some of my ways with tea drinking because I don't want to drink hot tea on a hot Florida day sometimes. So yeah, that's not to say you can't drink tea. You can drink cold tea, and we'll get into that soon. So I love tea, but I'm learning a lot through just doing the show where I'm going to change some of my behaviors based on some of these studies that we're going to talk about. Okay. So we are going to talk about the effects of tea drinking next. So what are the effects of drinking tea on a daily basis? Okay. So there are a few studies here that we're going to go into. The first one is led by an article published in the Lancet Regional Health Journal of Western Pacific. And the study found that consistent tea drinkers showed signs of slower aging compared to non-tea drinkers. Okay. They exhibited slower aging process, and they found that they had less anxiety also and insomnia. So the reason behind this, they say, is that tea contains, similar to clean crafted wine, I just want to point out, it contains polyphenols, which have an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory effect, which is the reason why it slows down the aging process. All right. Polyphenols are the main contributor to this. And so there is another study conducted by Sichuan University in China. They surveyed over 59,000 British individuals aged 37 to 73, and also over 7,000 Chinese individuals aged 30 to 79. So they asked them about their tea drinking habits, and what they found was that those who drank more tea showed their biological age was reduced based on the factors of their blood pressure, cholesterol, and body fat percentage. So in these polyphenols, right, there's a specific tea, the green tea, that contains EGCG. Okay, so that's the main, they call it a main catechin, and it brings promising results in the prevention of breast, lung, prostate, stomach, and pancreatic cancers. So there are different types of tea, which we're going to get into, but that's kind of an overview of what are some of the anti-aging benefits. All right. Slows down the aging process in terms of reducing your chances of cancer. We're also going to talk about skin too in some of these specific teas. Overall, tea has been known to, they also have some animal studies out there, to lower the risk of age-related diseases and mortality. And according to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, there is a study that was done in Korea that studied the effects of wrinkles, okay? And what they found is that certain teas actually reduce the photoaging process, right? So there's teas, specific teas that can help reduce the sag and help with their skin. And so the catechin derivative from green tea specifically actually has been known to suppress skin cancer caused by ultraviolet rays and carcinogens. And white tea has skin photoprotective effects, while black tea reduces sunburn cells and shows anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antimicrobial activities. All right, so what is this all saying? It's saying all three types of teas. We've got black tea, we've got green tea, and white tea. These all have polyphenols. Some have more concentration to reduce the support of reducing cancer. others of them, like white tea and black tea, they say that it helps to really reduce the sag and help support collagen in the skin. And now for a commercial break. So I want to ask you, when is the last time you had a great tasting protein bar that wasn't full of garbage? I want to tell you, I gave up on protein bars a while ago because of this reason. They were either one, full of garbage, or two, they just tasted like cardboard. Okay. So I was really surprised when I was introduced to Nugo bars. All right. So Nugo bars are bars that don't contain bad oils, no sugar alcohols, and they taste really, really good. Okay. And they have protein to boot. So I love these protein bars when I need like a quick fix, when I need something sweet that will give me some satiety. Honestly, these are really good with a little coffee in the morning. Forget the donuts, forget the coffees, just take a bite of these. And now for a limited time, if you go to nugonutrition.com/fitandpretty, that's NUGO nutrition.com/fitandpretty, FITNPRETTY, you'll get 50% off 12 bars. So normally this box is $30. You'll get this entire box of 12 bars that includes 2 dark chocolate pretzels with sea salt, 2 chocolate chip. You get 2 peanut butter cup. You get 2 mint chocolate chip, which is my favorite. You also get 2 dark mocha chocolates, and your last 2 is going to be your dark chocolate almond with sea salt. So it's limit 1 per customer. Hurry while supplies last. Okay, so what types of tea? We briefly mentioned green, black, and white tea. Those are the 3 that you want to focus on. So I didn't know this. Let me know if you know this, but green tea, black tea, and white tea. So they all come from the same tea plant called Camellia sinensis, right? Camellia sinensis. So white tea, black tea, green tea, they all come from the same leaf. The only difference is that the way it's processed to make it different, okay? So let's talk about those differences. We have black tea. Black tea is oxidized. This means the air is allowed to get to the tea leaves. So when they are oxidized, enzymes are released that change the color and flavor of the leaves. So it's kind of like comparing it to an apple, right? Once you cut the apple, how long does it take before it turns brown? Same thing here. Once you pick the tea leaf, how long before it changes color? So stopping the process at different stages is what produces these different types of teas. White and green teas are heated earlier on and they're not allowed to oxidize. That's what makes them light and fresh versus like a black tea. So what types of teas are you drinking? Again, I'm drinking my green tea right here, and it's without spilling it, or I can just show you here if you're watching it. That's nice and clear. Whereas black tea, obviously a lot darker. Okay. Moving on. How much of this beverage do we have to drink to get the benefits? So study after study after study that I was reading said about 2 to 3 cups. 3 cups is the ultimate threshold, okay, to get those optimal benefits of slowing down the aging process. And so consuming about 3 cups of tea or 6 to 8 grams of tea leaves per day show that you can, reduce wrinkles in your skin, supports better metabolism, can help reduce oxidative stress in the body, inflammation, mitochondrial activation, and one of the most important things that you hear about right now, it helps with your gut microbiome. So how do you drink tea? It seems very natural to think hot, right? But many people might drink your iced tea, right? We're talking about iced tea. We're talking about the iced tea without all the sugar, of course, because when you add all that sugar, you're kind of negating all the healthful anti-aging benefits. So cold or hot, which one do you drink? I've been doing both now that I understand the impact of cold and hot tea. So do you know how hot you can get your tea before it becomes a problem, right? When I say a problem, and I didn't know this, but I'm going to let you guys know that drinking boiling hot tea may actually increase, this is crazy, right? May increase your cancer risk. Yes. So there's been studies that have been done. Per 2018 study, drinking hot tea may increase your risk of cancer. The chances of developing this disease are higher, especially with people who smoke and drink. But they say that if you drink tea after boiling, increase your risk of developing esophageal cancer, right? Crazy. I always thought hotter the better, right? But so how hot can you get your tea? What's the temperature? So researchers found that tea drinkers who like their beverages between 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and then consume more than 700 milliliters of tea per day, which is about 2 large cups for us US people, they had a 90% higher risk of getting esophageal cancer. So magic number here. Don't go above 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And another tip, that these studies suggest is that you can drink cold tea. Okay. So they even go on to say that iced tea without sugar, right, is good for obese people. So unsweetened iced tea is actually helpful for those who are trying to lose weight. And they also go on to say those that are, have hypertension, high blood pressure and other cardiovascular issues. Since tea contains these antioxidants, these polyphenols and other nutrients versus, maybe drinking water all the time. And of course, sodas or any other sugary drinks. That's what you want to opt for is this nice herbal tea. Cold tea actually contains extra bioactive compounds like gallic acid and some epigallocatechin gallate. So this belongs to those phytochemicals in the tea leaves. And so, yeah, that's another tip. You don't have to always drink it hot. I know sometimes, I have a water cooler that has, and this is really why I love, and this is me personally, I think Florida water is terrible. That's one of the things that's different from being in the Midwest versus in Florida is the water here is very risky to drink. We never drink it out of the tap. It's not like it's Lake Michigan. Okay, but back to the hot water. Water coolers, they have that nice, easy, convenient spigot. And I swear by it. It helps me drink more tea. So do things in your life that contribute more convenience, right? There's nothing worse than, I don't know, if you got a busy schedule, then waiting for 5 minutes for a cup of tea. All right, it's fine on a weekend, right? But I can understand that. The other tip is, having that cooler with the spigot so you can have that hot tea. But letting, what I do lately is watching, you can see me pull out my tea. It's got a little thing in the middle. Just imagine a big glass tea kettle. I think this is like 32 ounces. It's got a top, and in the middle, you can steep. You can place your tea bags in the middle of that, okay? And it's kind of cool. I just leave it there for a few hours. And then what I do is I put it in a big mason jar, all right? And this is really funny as I'm getting older because my parents are notorious for just having jars and jars in their cabinets, and I've become that person. They always say you become like your parents. But I do. I use those mason jars all the time between smoothies, all right, and now making cold brewed, making the tea. And so this is what I use today. I really like jasmine dragon pearls. If you're seeing this, you can see they're just little balls. And I like the jasmine green tea. Jasmine has that kind of really stress reducing scent to it. So when I drink my tea, I like to smell it because it's just so relaxing. It feels like you're at a spa, even if, you're working. And it really is one of those things that I do throughout my day to reduce stress in my life, anxiety during a work day. And, there are different types of green teas, I want to say. I'm focusing on green teas because that's what I've been drinking a lot of. But I definitely am going to add more white and black tea into my day because white and black tea, based on the studies, are known to reduce wrinkles in the skin, whereas green tea is more reducing your chances of, it supports reducing cancer in your body. And so play around with these teas. I think having different teas is something that you can do to add to your diet. And, some of the tips here that we're going to talk about, how can we get more tea into our diet? Now that you know what you know that all 3 teas that we talked about are from the same plant, okay, called the Camellia sinensis. Everything I pronounced lately on this show is very hard to pronounce, so I apologize. Lord, I apologize. So here are my tips, okay? Number 1, 3 cups a day, okay? Well, it's not my tip, but it's the tip to get those anti-aging benefits. Number 2, make sure you're getting green, white, or black tea to get these anti-aging benefits. We haven't studied any of the other teas, but these are the ones that are popping up in all these studies for a reason. Number 3, how can you get more tea into your day? Okay, here are the 2 that I have been doing. Number 1, instead of using water for certain things like smoothies, if you're a smoothie person, if you aren't, you should try it. Smoothies are a great way to start your day. So I add, instead of just milk and ice now, I add, half the amount of milk, and then I add the tea here for water. Okay. So then I'm going to get that into my day really fast. That's why I love smoothies, by the way, not to get down a rabbit hole, but smoothies are the best way to get so much nutrition in a short amount of time. Goes down real easy. I think it's one of the best supplements you can make, and you can make it, right? And you can always change it up. So that's tip number 1. Number 2, if you are someone that's taking protein shakes, of course, replace your water for your tea. You're not going to change the taste of your protein powder, especially if you're having like a chocolate protein powder. That's a really good one because the chocolate really kind of hides everything. So those are my tips to reduce the aging process. Grab some tea and we'll see you next time. Bye.